So there are thousands of companies around the world that are trying to expand to Saudi Arabia. I'm here with Saad today, who works on helping companies expand to Saudi Arabia, to ask him why this is happening. Thank you for being with us today, Saad. Obviously, we want to talk to you about why companies want to expand to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So, how many companies have you helped expand to Saudi Arabia so far?
So, as an entity, around like 700,
Wow.
and as an individual, I've been involved in about 100 expansions.
Okay. Oh, as an individual, about 100 expansions?
Yeah.
Wow. And what's your role as someone who helps them expand? What kind of things do you need to help people with?
I mean, it's different. So it depends on where they're at with the decision making process, right? And you need to understand, as an organization, when you're making a decision like this, you might be, it could be anywhere from you're thinking it's cool because you're seeing and you're hearing about all the capital that is being injected in the kingdom currently. And then, so that's one end, and then on a completely opposite side, you're already doing work, which is just, you know, part of the reason why you see the need for you to expand into the kingdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
So either you're looking at companies that are doing well, you're seeing or hearing about success, or you already have captured a small bit of business inside Saudi Arabia, and now you just want to maximize on it. And part of what the government is requiring you to do is to have something set up here, so have some sort of presence. So we understand where they're at in that decision making process, and then based off of that, highlight like what the route would look like if they want to be here.
So, do you think is it difficult for companies to move to expand to Saudi Arabia?
I think with any new market, it has its challenges and complexities,
Mm.
but I wouldn't say it's difficult. It's just being able to reflect internally and understand, do we have a product fit, and and then taking the right steps in terms of from regulatory requirements all the way down to what the cultural differences might be.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding all of that can sometimes be a little difficult if you're trying to just simply Google it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So, what advantage do you have over the companies? Like, is it because you and your entity or whatever are familiar with Saudi Arabia, or you have special like agents and connections, or what's your like advantage?
I think for us, the biggest thing has been the network, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you are coming into a new market, your network is all you really have. And it's either a network of existing clients or prospects. Because we've been doing this for, I think, over around like 8 years now, we've already built that network. And then we leverage that and help our community leverage that to be able to, expand on prospects. And sometimes, in especially in the Middle East, opening the door is just step one of helping them land their next client, next partner. And I think that's how we try to differentiate ourselves from indirect competitors.
Mm-hmm. And what are like the main? Are there any big universal requirements for a company moving to like expanding to Saudi Arabia, like a required revenue or a required number of staff or required number of offices or notability or anything like that?
I think it comes down to, obviously, when you're coming, if you have clients here, then yes, you're able to
So even if you're
have
like a
some.
very small like startup with just like couple customers
Yeah, yeah,
with
yeah.
very low
Exactly. But
revenue,
but you could see that in 5 years I'm going to be something different,
yeah.
right? Then yes, definitely.
But is there
But the,
like who decides if you are like eligible to expand here or not?
you assess your current cash flow, and you also anticipate future revenue, and base off of that, if it justifies the cost. Like, you need to understand when you're coming into.
Okay, so it's just based on you justifying the cost yourself. There's not like the government has a requirement.
The government does have a requirement, but it's like around $10,000. So it's not really
$10,000.
to be able to put in as the minimum capital requirement.
Okay.
Approximately $10,000, right? So, but with the setting up and like getting all started and stuff, the fees could go up to anywhere between $40,000 to $80,000, right?
Okay.
And are you, as a company, do you have that kind of money in hand and to be able to come in, right? That's what it comes down to. From the government's aspect, it's about 20,000 of that is allocated towards government expenses.
And is there a specific niche or type of company that you're seeing more than others that are trying to expand? Like, is it like mostly retail or mostly tech or mostly
It's
something?
probably a lot of tech, right?
AI and software solutions?
I would say it's a combination of multiple different types of tech, right? Fintech, obviously, digital banks and stuff. They're trying to come in and be a part of creating the digital transformation that the central bank is leading towards. Then you have your normal like tech consulting, IT transformation kind of companies coming in. Why? Right? Because the main theme with all of these companies to come into Saudi, and when you're making that decision, you need to, it comes down to, if I don't have clients right now, what problem will I fix in this market that makes me exclusive, that makes me a little bit different? So IT transformation companies, they're coming in. Part of the whole Vision 2030 is to move towards digital transformation, right? They're about like 97% already there. So these companies will come in and help with the integration.
They're 97% already to like
on a
their
government
target
level
of digital
Exactly.
transformation
Exactly.
for their 2030 vision.
For on the government level, getting
Like
the
Abshir
Abshir
and,
portal that you use,
Tawakkal
exactly.
and all these things. Yeah, I mean, it already feels like for like the average person, everything is digital now.
Exactly.
Like there's nothing not digital.
So that's why, like, if you're
Even ID cards, even
100%.
there's maybe passports are left, which is like an international thing,
Yeah.
not just.
And like, imagine, like, even if you're sitting in the UK, for example, and you have a project in Saudi for one of the entities looking to do this, and they're willing to pay you, 3x, 4x what you might be making on a similar project in the UK, wouldn't you then invest the $100,000, $200,000 for a return of maybe 10 million?
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
And that's the main reason why companies are coming in.
And what advantages do you see Saudi Arabia having over other countries within the Gulf and around the world?
I think in terms of advantages, it comes probably two main would be market size, right? It's currently the biggest market in the Middle East. And then
And buying power.
exactly, for sure, right? Capital is definitely, I would say, their biggest strong suit right now. Some of the largest entities in the world are owned by Public Investment Fund, which is a subsidiary straight from the royal family. So and then you see all of their oil money, Aramco being one of the largest companies. So having that kind of money and cash in hand, they have a lot more power. And then you combine that with being the biggest market in the Middle East, it translates into the reason why it is the world's fastest growing economy, according to like the G20. That's what it comes down to.
So you've told us about businesses trying to expand to Saudi Arabia. What about individuals? If I want to work either as like a sole trader, like as a self-employed consultant or something, or if I want to start a small business like a small ice cream shop or or like a cleaning service or car wash or something like that,
Yeah.
and I don't
I
have, and like maybe I have a small entity in another country, or maybe I want to even start from scratch. How would that work?
I think for individuals it's a little bit different, right? Because whereas in other parts of the world it's a lot easier to be able to be a freelancer, be a contractor, be a consultant.
As a non-national.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right here
As a
it's
national, of course, it's different.
it's different. They're allowed to go and set up a company from scratch, whereas
Yeah.
as a foreigner you'd need to expand a company. So it's quite different how the way that works.
So you can't start it from scratch.
Exactly. As
You
an
can't
individual,
at all.
you wouldn't be able to, right?
Okay.
Unless you had the premium residency, which pretty much puts you in parallel with a Saudi
Okay.
national with certain limitations.
And the premium residency costs like
It,
$150,000.
it costs about
One-time payment.
it costs about $800,000 if you wanted it
Riyals.
for
800,000 riyals.
800,000 riyals.
Yeah, so $150K.
Yeah.
Around.
Yeah,
Or 200.
exactly.
No, 200K.
Up like around there. So
Yeah, 150,000 pounds, I think, what I was thinking. But yeah.
yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
But I think so. If you had that, then you'd be in parallel, and then you could set up a company from scratch. But as an individual, normal foreigner would not be able to do so.
And also, like, not to mention that 200,000 just to buy a premium residency, it's not even like an investment program.
Exactly.
It's just a payment. So
Just-
you need to have a lot more capital
For sure.
for that to just be the payment for something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is. I mean, that would be a lot, right? And which rarely happens. And then if you do have that kind of capital, why would you want to do that in the first place? But so for individuals, it comes down to there is obviously a lot of new projects going on here, right? And the companies that are expanding here, one thing that they're lacking in certain situation is talent, and very like focused niche kind of talent. And if you fit within those requirements, and it could be as simple as like going on LinkedIn, checking out like where to apply and stuff, and like who's hiring in the kingdom, then you would be able to make quite a multiplier on your current salary anywhere else in the world.
So the best thing is to work as an employee.
No,
Or
that's
a
that's one
contractor.
that's one of the options, because obviously as foreigners there are certain limitations to what you would be able to
Because
do.
sometimes it's not worth going all the way and doing like setting up a business.
Exactly.
When you could just be an employee and make even more money, or do a similar lifestyle.
Exactly, and legally you might not be able to do so.
And being an employee like has benefits. There's stability.
Exactly.
There's things
It's a lot more
benefits,
easier.
there's all these things.
And because it's a lot less liability as well. And if you are coming in, you want to get a taste of a new country.
And you get like a severance
Exactly.
package. You'll have things like that. Like
So why like come in with guns blazing? Maybe dip your toes before you jump into the water kind of situation.
And then could you start a business easily with a partnership with a national?
So they cut that off. Previously they had that, but now they have incentives for foreign companies to come in. But as individuals, if you want to partner up with a national, either you would need to set up a company and then expand it in, and then put in the national as a shareholder, or the national owns the entire entity.
Does the
right?
national have to own like a majority stake?
No, because no national is needed. So you would be doing that
So why would you get a national?
if they brought strategic value to.
Oh, so just because the person is actually
Exactly.
good, not because he's a national.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, for individuals, I think it's a very exciting place, and if you fit that niche, then it makes sense,
So-
because you can make a
so-
lot more money.
So it's only gonna work for individuals who have like a unique skill, mostly in tech, probably, who can be
Who have
employed.
something a little bit more.
And mostly it'd be
unique.
tech, right? Like programming kind of stuff.
It'd be any of the
data
big
analysis.
sectors. So tech, tourism,
Tourism.
construction. Yeah, you need to understand this country is evolving its entire
Yeah.
infrastructure
Yeah.
from each dimension.
Mm.
Construction is needed because you have a new hotel popping up, and you have, all of these giga projects that are going on. Tourism, obviously, because they're moving away from, they want to diversify from not in non-oil sectors. They need to do different things, and that's part of the giga projects. That's where that connection is made, and the entire tech infrastructure and where they're at. That's also one of the sectors that's growing, and then mobility. Oddly enough, so all of these electric vehicles that you're seeing, the entire, like in comparison to Dubai, where you had one line on the metro, the way the Riyadh metro is going to launch is 6 lines all at once.
Wow.
Right? So you need to understand, currently, just on that project, there's 3 large companies working on it from 3 different parts of the world. There's Bombardier from Canada, there's German trains. So, like, imagine the level of niche expertise they would need.
They're doing stuff that countries took decades and centuries maybe to
Within
do,
months and
and
years.
they're doing it like really quickly and at a time when everything is way more expensive as well.
Exactly.
Like having to make a train system back in, like, I don't know,
Was a
200
lot
years ago.
because now they're making trains, and even the train that they have currently operating between the different cities, it's stupidly fast. Like this.
And it's like the bullet trains. It looks like the bullet trains.
does,
the
and
Japanese.
it-
Well, I think it's Spanish or something. And
The
they're really
heat
nice
for me
and
is what's
clean
crazy.
inside. They're really nice and clean inside, and
Yeah,
they go like 300 kilometers per hour.
exactly. No, it's cool. It's cool. But yeah, so I think it's very exciting for both individuals and corporates. But make sure it makes sense for you. Otherwise, it's not as exciting just to jump in because of the hype. It should be a calculated decision. And if it's not, then it could not work out. I've seen companies shut down and leave Saudi. And the reason why they end up doing that is because they weren't.
It wasn't justified.
It wasn't in line with, it wouldn't work for them. There was a grocery store e-commerce company that did very well in Lebanon and a few other parts of the world. And then they expanded to Saudi. Right now, e-commerce and like quick commerce is one of the biggest industries in the kingdom. And this company, after they were here for a couple of years, it didn't work out for them. And even though they're in like the key sector, but because it wasn't a product fit, it did not make sense. And they ended up having to shut it down, go back. And so there are those cases too. It's not all as exciting as Ronaldo plays in the next $1 trillion project. There are downsides to it, which is why understanding and reflecting and doing the feasibility is so much more important than the move to Saudi itself.
And out of all the companies you've seen or helped, this will probably be the last question, but out of all the companies you've helped move or seen move, expand, I mean, to Saudi, what percentage would you say did well with their expansion and didn't regret their decision, where it worked out and they did great?
I mean, in the past year, I think the number is around 94 expansions I've been involved in. And none of these companies have shown any signs of stagnant behavior or even a decrease. But mind you,
These are from all different industries.
From I'm talking about from at least 20 different sectors.
Wow.
From at least 10 to 15 different countries around the world. From Bosnia to India, right? I would say most of these companies come in when they have a reason to set up. Like you need, like they're setting up an entity because they have like.
I mean, it's
here.
a lot of work for the company
Exactly,
to
right?
even decide and expand and start sending staff and all this, like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So most of these companies, obviously, they're going to see growth once they're here. We do talent, and we help them recruit as well sometimes, or help them find the right candidate. And we're seeing them hire a lot more. And like you as a company, that shows for me a sign of progression, right? So I would say some of them are still picking up because a few of them are startups, but I am yet to see a company regret its decision to expand after it's done the whole pre-homework and stuff.
Thank you, Saad, for speaking with us today. It's very interesting, and hopefully we'll have you again in a future video, maybe.
Hopefully.
When the metro is more finished.
Yeah. Maybe we could do a video on the metro.
Oh, yes, maybe we can.
Yeah. I don't know if that's going to be allowed, but...
No, why wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
You mean being on the metro, or is it about the metro?
Like on the metro, doing the...
Like doing the video while we're on the metro?
Exactly.
Why wouldn't it be allowed?
I don't know. I don't make the rules.
Yeah.
I just don't follow them.
Make sure you guys like and subscribe and share, and let us know your thoughts, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.